Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Aravaipa Rides podcast. This is going to be our final Meet the Team episode. We've got Myles White here. Myles, welcome.
Hello.
It's been a long summer of trying to get this done. Vacations, races, and all kinds of other things kept seeming to get in the way. But we got you here. We're in the studio, so again, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's just start into you. How did you start in with mountain biking?
So with mountain biking, that was actually later in my cycling journey. Like my first 3 years, I was a big time roadie.
Okay.
Lycra all the time, yelling at cars. And then after that, after the first 3 years of like really getting into cycling, then I got on a mountain bike, switched bike shops, and the rest was history. Just got into single speeding, so hardcore.
Yep.
Also in the mountain biking thing, crazy.
Yep.
Now kind of did some endurance, shifting over to gravity, but yeah, I want to say after the first 3 years, yeah, definitely jumped right into mountain biking after being a roadie for a while.
Gotcha. And that was, we talking high school, college age, or before?
Right out of high school,
Okay.
first bike shop job.
Yeah.
3 years after that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. And you're not from here, not from Arizona.
Not from Arizona.
Came from Connecticut, the nutmeg state.
Long ways away.
What's the cycle scene back there?
You know, it's kind of hidden, honestly.
Okay.
Like, a lot of people don't know about mountain biking there. They think of Vermont, New Hampshire.
Sure.
Like, even New York. Like, the roadie scene's really big. The
Okay.
mountain biking scene's a little bit smaller, but it's just kind of, like, tucked away. Like, we're riding through, like, people's backyards. It's all,
Really?
like, you know, all the property's owned by the state or something like that. So it's, you know, maybe you should have a permit, maybe you don't, whatever. Hush hush. But
Yeah.
if you know somebody there, you could do easy like 30-mile loops
Okay.
out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what part of the state are you from?
Southern Connecticut.
Southern Connecticut.
Yeah,
Okay.
right next to New Haven.
Gotcha. So not a lot of trails that are like easily accessed. Is that what you're saying? Like not without at least knowing the owner or having some permission to use?
Permission, or even like just kind of knowing where to cut through the gate to get into it. You know?
Okay. Gotcha.
Like one of the main areas I would ride, there's a little slit in the gate. You gotta know where it is.
Sure.
You could jump into the trail network, and it's, you know, right next to a highway. You'd
Okay.
never know there were trails there if you were just driving down the road.
Gotcha. What were the trails initially built for? If they're not easy to find and easy to access, is it more like hikers or equestrian?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Pretty much all the trails that we'd ride on were hiking trails.
Gotcha.
Some of them are old, like Native American, like trading routes and stuff like that.
Okay.
That's at least historically where some of them came from.
Sure.
Definitely not there anymore, but
Right.
yeah, all hiking trails. So janky, rocks, roots.
Yeah.
You know.
And you moved out here a few years ago.
Yep.
So in the time, obviously you go back every once in a while. I know you were back earlier this summer.
Mhm.
Are you seeing the scene change back there at all? Is there becoming more of a mountain bike scene? Are trails being cut by and for riding a little bit more?
Definitely.
Okay.
I think in general the sport's grown, but it doesn't seem to grow as fast there as it does in like Arizona or like really the, you know, the hubs of mountain biking.
Sure.
So it's kind of delayed there, but it definitely has grown more, especially with like youth cycling.
Mm-hmm.
There's a program that's been around for a while over there, and it's just kind of been like booming more recently.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And I imagine we've probably said it before and talking to other guests and stuff, just the East Coast, West Coast differences on trails, you know,
Yeah.
lots of roots, not so many rocks,
Yeah.
leaves covering everything. So
Yeah.
you don't know if there's an actual route or if it's anything that you might hit, right? So it's a different type of riding for sure. All right, so fast forward to Arizona. You've been here a few years. What do you like or dislike about the scene here compared to Connecticut?
Yeah. So what I like, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, is I like that you're within 2 to 3 hours of riding in snow or riding in like the desert.
Right.
So if you want to ride in Phoenix, I mean, South Mountain's like the mecca.
Sure.
That's where the group ride is. Shout out Monday night.
Monday night group rides.
Or you can go up to Flagstaff in 3 hours. It's winter's coming up, so Sedona trips are going to be like almost every weekend.
Right.
But then also, like if you live in Connecticut, you could ride year round. I mean, it sucks because there's a little bit of snow, but
Sure.
you know, you get your fat bike going,
Yeah.
ride your fat bike through the winter, or you're just your beater mountain bike because the road salts just tear everything up.
Sure it does.
But yeah, no, it's been really nice. Not really exactly sure which one I prefer.
Okay.
You can kind of do everything on the East Coast in like your area.
Yeah.
You know, like your little 1 hour bubble.
Yeah.
I feel like most people just don't end up leaving. Whereas like here, it's normal to just be like, all right, I'm gonna go to Flagstaff this weekend, and you're just gone.
Yeah.
And like that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Did you ever have, speaking of like the fat tire bikes, did you ever try the spikes, like the, I don't know if they're, to be honest, I don't know if the tires actually have the spikes in them, or if it's like a chain like you would put on your truck, you know, whatever, for four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
But I've seen them. I've seen people try them. Did you ever try riding with those, or?
I did not. Those tires are so expensive.
Are they? Okay.
Yes. I have done quite a few rides on ice.
Yeah.
That's always very interesting. It's always a fun time because, I mean, you might only ride 7 or 8 miles, but you're kind of laughing your butt off the whole time because everybody's slipping and sliding around.
Yeah.
But no, I never got myself into studs just because, I mean, you really need to have ice to make it worth it.
Okay.
And they're super loud on the road if there's no ice, and changing tires and all this stuff. But
yeah. It doesn't work in just the snow. And
having just a big like 4-inch wide tire on the snow is plenty.
that's enough. Okay.
Yeah, that's plenty.
Gotcha.
Even I did this like hill climb race charity ride one year.
Yeah.
And I had like 2.8-inch tires, and I mean it got steep at sections where like I just couldn't ride, so I had to get off my bike and like take little baby steps just to get past the ice patch.
Yep.
Whereas guys on fat bikes had no problem doing it. But yeah.
Nice. So you're talking about Phoenix and kind of a mecca. It's sort of a theme we've seemed to have the last couple of podcasts, different guests that we've had. So I'll go ahead and ask you the same question I've asked them. What do you think of Arizona as kind of like the unsung gem of the Southwest?
Yeah.
There's certainly a desire to come here. I always call out Sedona, but there's plenty of other meccas, if you want to call it, mini meccas around here that people will come for.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like on the big stage, Arizona doesn't seem to have that that huge moniker of like mountain bike heaven or something like that.
Yeah.
But you found it. You found your way here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you think of? And you have a option too. We'll talk a little bit about the shop too. You see, you get to talk to a lot of different people, I'm sure, from away and from local. How do other people find it? And do you think that it's something that we should be maybe advertising more of like, hey, mountain bikers come here?
I think it kind of sells itself.
Okay.
So something I've been seeing more recently, as I'm just kind of like watching like the pro downhill enduro, even just like the cross country scene a little bit more.
Yeah.
All those guys come here in the winter.
Yep.
Like last year, I think the whole Pivot factory team was here on South Mountain doing shuttle laps.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I think I was out doing shuttle laps as well myself.
Yeah.
And I think they had dropped in, and the shuttle bus had just pulled up, and I finished my ride, posted it, and somebody was like, "Oh man, did you see the Pivot guys?" So I think the advertising for it is there. I think the biggest thing is that it's so concentrated. Like,
Okay.
California has mountain biking. It has like all cycling.
Sure.
But is it Northern California? Is it Southern California?
Right.
Like where is it there that you're kind of doing it? I mean, those main places, but like you could just kind of come to Phoenix and get all of it.
True.
And then drive the hour and a half to Sedona.
Yep.
Or go to Prescott, or go to Mount Lemmon, Tucson.
Exactly.
I think that's probably the biggest thing, is how like concentrated it is.
Yeah.
And then like the market, the amount of people we have here, there's bike shops everywhere. Like there's just so much bike here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to ride now that you've been here a few years?
A place I could see myself riding like every day, I would like to say South Mountain.
Okay.
Even though I basically do ride almost a few times a week at this. Yeah, but probably North Mountain. like
Okay.
Phoenix Mountain Preserve.
Yep.
Like, it's smaller. I know Bryce has been running there a lot.
Yep.
Like, taking everybody's KOMs and everything.
Right.
But I feel like it's just got a good mix of like all kind of trail cross country riding. If you want to hit a little bit gnarlier stuff, there's like ways to find it, and there's a little
Okay.
bit out there.
Yep.
But for general, like everyday trail riding, honestly, that was probably the nicest place I rode all the time. I used to live on 19th of Thunderbird.
Okay, so you're right there.
I did ride there all the time.
Gotcha.
And I probably preferred it. If you want to ride like mellow stuff on South Mountain, you're pretty much just doing like Javelina or Desert Classic.
Right.
And you're not really doing the Mormons, the Nationals. You're not really accessing the rest of that because it does
Right.
get a little bit more technical.
Sure.
So yeah, no, I'd say Phoenix Mountain Preserve's probably been my favorite.
Okay.
If I wanted to take a trip somewhere, probably Sedona.
Okay.
Features, a lot of guys putting a lot of time in on those trails, so
Yeah.
new features going in all the time. That's probably my favorite place to like drive to. Plus
Gotcha.
it's close.
It is close. Yeah. And an easy day trip. You can be back home at night.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. So as I said, kind of introducing you, you're a member of the race team,
Yep.
so sponsored by us, by Aravaipa. This is your second year
Yep.
doing it. You were our very first racer when the race team of one was created. But yeah, congratulations on the second year.
Thank you.
I know you did a few races with us last year. I can't honestly recall if I've had you in a race earlier this year or not. I know you haven't done at least more of the most recent ones,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't remember if you were in one earlier. But question is more along the lines of the races that you've done with us. What do you like?
Yeah.
Which ones have been your favorites?
I want to say, I don't remember the name, but it was in Estrella.
Okay.
And I liked it because it wasn't on the comp track. Like, if you've done MBAs or anything like,
Right.
everybody just does the same track and it gets kind of boring. But that one was really fun. It was really different. Just like sections where you're just kind of traversing across the ridge and then you drop in into a climb. That was easily my favorite, and that was the one with the full moon.
Yes.
So I did do, even though that was my worst race ever, I did do, I think I only did like 4 laps, but 3 of those 4 laps were done with no lights at night. That
Yep.
was really nice.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember that race. I remember there was a hot night.
Yeah.
I do remember, was it 9 hours or the 12-hour that you were
I did
in?
the 9 hour.
Okay. You made it close. Wasn't quite full 9, but
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone made it the full 9 that night. I think we may have cut that one early just based on everyone kind of being done after 4 or 5, whatever laps it was. It was a hot one, I remember. That was Estrella is Hypnosis.
Yep.
We didn't hold it this year, but it wasn't. That was a brand new course that we put together for that race,
Yep.
and gotten off at the comp track for that specific reason because
so fun.
1, everybody does it. 2, almost everybody doesn't like it. I don't want to maybe say hate it, but most people don't seem to like it. It is an older park. I think it's the first park that Maricopa Park
really?
started out with. We're very close to it, so it's definitely a lot of years old. And I think, with that being said, like trails were not cut with mountain bikers in mind, or not so much. So, and then it's just age. So they've been beat up for a number of decades at this point. But they're doing some good work over there now. The trails have definitely improved over the last few years, and there's people out there, trail advocacy groups that are doing a good job helping out too. So yeah, I'd like to put in that together, and I was kind of disappointed not to have it this year. So maybe we'll see it pop back up next year, or hopefully in years to come again, because it was a pretty good loop.
Yes.
So of the you do a lot of other races though too.
I do.
What outside of Aravaipa have you done recently, and what are some of your favorites?
So earlier this year, I did my first downhill race at a Bootleg Canyon.
Nice.
It's in Boulder City, Nevada. It's just over the border, right next to the dam.
Sure.
Didn't plan on doing those. My roommate was heading out there, so
Yeah.
I didn't have to drive myself, which is always fantastic.
Yeah.
And all I had to do was sign up. Did those. Those were great. The only one I knew I was going to do this year was the Cactus Cup.
Okay.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
They put on a good show.
They do.
Yep.
I also like the multi-day stuff as well. I feel like it brings in another element.
Sure.
Kind of helped segue into the next one I did, which was the BME,
Yep.
which was also a 2-day event out at Sunrise Mountain Bike Park. The first day of that one was absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
Climbed up the fire road to the, I don't know what the peak is called, but the higher peak out there twice.
Yep.
Then rode halfway down, then pedaled or hike-a-biked all the way back up again.
Oh, jeez.
And then that was Saturday, and then Sunday was still racing, but we got to use a chairlift a little bit more for that one.
Okay.
That was brutal.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
But brutal but good, or brutal but like just brutal?
I want to say it was like a good pain, I guess, would be a nice way good way
Sure.
to put it.
Yeah.
It's what I picture when I think about enduro, just like really the endurance aspect of it. I feel like that kind of gets dropped.
Yeah.
Sometimes. So it was nice to see that. Kind of levels the playing field, who's training, who's in shape, who's ready.
Yeah.
Not just, who can hit this corner the fast. It's like, no, I hope you've been, getting some miles in on the bike this year, because you're going to need to do that.
Excellent. What races do you have coming up? Anything on the calendar?
Nothing on the calendar right now. I was thinking of maybe getting in another enduro. I did just build up a new bike, but I also this year was an off year, even though I just said I did a bunch of races, but it was all fun, that was the main thing about this year. But going into next year, definitely want to ramp it up again.
Okay.
Kind of hit the pavement on the road bike.
Okay.
And then get ready for some XC.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you just built up a bike, you're saying?
Yes.
What'd you build?
Built up a brand new enduro bike, Norco Sight aluminum frame.
Okay.
Kind of took apart my old enduro bike, which was sad because it, did a lot for me.
Yeah.
But time to move on. Yeah, I built that up last night. I was at the shop till about 10 o'clock getting it done, and have not ridden it yet, but I'm going to ride it tomorrow.
There you go. What other bikes do you have in your front porch or wherever you keep your bikes?
So I have a 2017 Specialized Epic Hardtail that I've had for probably about 4 or 5 years now. Put about 2,200 miles on it.
Nice.
2,000 of those miles is set up as a single speed.
Okay.
I have a Surly Karate Monkey sitting in a box right now, which I would like to build up. I have a Cube 215 downhill bike sitting in pieces because I started servicing the suspension and then got a little demotivated, so now it's just kind of sitting there.
Gotcha.
And then I have a Specialized Roubaix, like all-road kind of road bike.
Yeah. You work at a bike shop, and you're just talking about how the kind of got demotivated on building. Does it sometimes take away from the joy of building your own when you spend all day working on others? Is that part of it?
It really does sometimes, yeah. I don't know why, but yeah, some days, like especially if you've had a hard day working on like pain in the butt customer's bike.
Sure.
Like today, I was working on an e-bike and couldn't get the cable routing through the frame because the batteries and like all this stuff. Definitely don't want to work on my bike after that. Like I'd rather just go ride. And then because I haven't been using the downhill bike, it's like no reason to fix it. I'll just let it kind of sit there
until you need it, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Gotcha. Why don't you tell everyone the name of the shop that you work at?
So I work at Migos Mountain Bike Shop in Ahwatukee.
Give them a little shout out here, a little love. And you were working at bike shops before.
Yes.
Is that pretty much that's your thing? That's your love is not just the riding, but also the fixing.
It is.
As long as it's not the pain in the ass customers.
Yes.
Every service industry has a rough spot like that, but that's what makes you stronger for being able to work through it. And hey, you deliver them a bike at the end of the day, they're going to be happy. So
yes,
that's always
my
a good
favorite
thing.
part.
Yeah. How long have you been with Amigos?
I've been there for just over 2 years now.
Okay.
Yep.
A good shop. You like it?
Great shop. Yeah.
And it's in Ahwatukee, is it not?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So as back to the race team a little bit, applications will probably be opening up here soon for next year. Are you gonna come back? Are you gonna apply? I should say.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. The race team, we don't do a whole lot of. I mean, you go out and race, and obviously we get you help with entries and stuff like that too. How would you like to see the race team grow, though?
Ooh.
I was talking with Robert last night. I'll keep talking here for a second.
Yeah.
I was talking with Robert last night about some of the stuff too. So it kind of just prompted me to think about what we could do in the future. Maybe not next year, but looking out 2, 3, 5 year kind of plan what we could do. Just thought I'd throw it out as get your opinion as well.
That's a good one. Something I've been thinking about, and I don't know if it was a part of the racing team or just Aravaipa in general, but the like photo shoot for Run Steep, Get High.
Yep.
Or just like the salt stick one.
Okay.
I think just general, like the opportunities to get, I guess social media is probably like the main focus.
Sure.
Just being able to have a avenue to get social media promotion. I think, I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but
I think I know what you're saying. Like
just more photo shoots in general.
Yeah.
Even not like one every week or something like that. And it's something I think about it all the time. So like I have a GoPro and I'm like, okay, I need to like buy a tripod, just go set it up and just like get a clip of me riding. And
Sure.
it's occasionally I'm like, oh man, like I just did this cool feature thing. I want to get a video of it, and I'll like set my phone down on a rock and get that occasional clip. But sometimes it's just hard to get motivated on a ride, especially when you're training a lot, to just be like, I gotta take out my phone or
Right.
like just kind of be like ready. And it's like you just had your head down like grinding. You're like, I gotta take a picture of this.
I was gonna say it's just like you get into it, you're riding, and it's like almost like too much to stop, set up. All right, I'm gonna go ride back, get it started, do the thing, maybe take 2 or 3 passes at it just to make sure you get one good one.
Yeah.
I kind of feel I'm in the same boat too because I enjoy posting them for fun, and I'll have either like the chest mount on sometimes or the handlebar mount. Sometimes I'll do the rock, get the stationary footage from outside, and then it just sits there in the camera.
Yeah.
And I never sit down at the computer to actually look at the clips and see if they're any good until like 6 months later when I'm using the camera again and I want to make sure there's enough room on the card.
Yeah.
So I'll look and I'm like, oh, look at all these things I did back in March. I never, it was all these different, clips or something like that. I'm like, oh, maybe I should have done something with them. And now it's like, do I really want to? Is it too late? Does it make sense with whatever's going on in the present? Or I have the phone, which is, I forget the GoPro, so all I have is the phone, and you can't take a good, not when you're riding anyway, because it's just like this,
shaking around,
right. There's no amount of stabilization that my arm can provide when out there. So, I find it kind of the same way. But who does? Do you follow Maria?
I do.
Yeah, she's always out there. She gets those clips and gets them out there, and is really good about a couple 3 a week, somewhere, usually South Mountain, but she gets the road ones too. Yeah. Or if she's out of state, she'll get them out there too. But
does she have someone taking pictures of her, or?
It's usually Doug, her boyfriend.
Okay.
I think is the one who's doing it. And because if you ever follow him, it's not the same feature. He's not usually hitting the same spot, but he probably posts just as much, 2 to 3 a week of some clip of him doing something too. So, they're good about it. I remember asking her about it, and she said it's something that they definitely they think about when they're going out. So it is built into that ride. Like, we're going to stop here. We're going to record this, and then we're going to keep, the next 10 or 20 or whatever miles. So they're better than me, I guess.
Because I don't see a lot of shots from like the ground up, like their phone propped up.
Yeah, they've got somebody holding that camera.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense.
So more photo shoots or more maybe just presence. Is that probably like a good way to set it, like social media presence?
And it doesn't have to be for like self-promotion.
Right.
But just for, I think the Aravaipa has like a schedule for their like social media posts.
Sure. Yeah.
But just like fitting in maybe like riding pictures or other things like that.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea because I know whenever they've got new merchandise coming out or a whole new fall line or that kind of thing. They do get pictures, and I'm not sure. I mean, I know most of the people who end up modeling for it, but I'm not sure if they've ever. That might be not a bad idea to bring up to folks as a thing. We can get the teams more involved in that way, and just again, you're out there, you're doing something for them, they're doing something for you, and it would kind of work both ways. Do you have sponsorships? Any other sponsorships besides Aravaipa?
Yeah, so I do work with Laurel Bike Club, or
Okay.
LBC. They're out of Woodbridge, Connecticut, and the main sponsor is Amity Bike Shop.
Okay.
Previous shop I used to work at in Connecticut.
Gotcha.
They do a butt ton of stuff, and they also sponsor a few other clubs as well.
Gotcha.
One I just saw recently is Moran Cycles.
Okay.
It's I think a high school team.
Gotcha.
And they're putting on their first race, and they actually just put out their a logo for, I don't know if it's for a jersey or for a race.
Okay.
But it was the Laurel Bicycle Frog, which is like a frog, and they had it riding the Moran Cycles horse.
Okay.
So it's a very cool way to incorporate it. But
nice.
yeah.
Nice. Oh darn it! Just slipped through my head. I did want to ask you back about some of the things. So about your future, I guess to say. So you said you don't really have anything on the calendar.
Yeah.
You haven't been doing a lot of downhill. So if you were to just guesstimate up ahead, like what would you like to do? I guess what events would you like to look into? Whether it's next year or just further out.
Next year I'd say possibly the Cactus Cup again.
Okay.
I was surprised with how well I did at it with, I don't want to say I didn't do any preparation. Like I was still riding a decent amount at that point.
Yeah.
But I was very close to doing quite a bit better.
Okay.
And then possibly another enduro race, and then, Old Pueblo's always on my mind, but that's such a hard one to commit to for me.
Right. I think that one just sold out though, right? Isn't it? And waitlist at this point.
Yeah. But that's
it was just last weekend. I think it opened and closed.
Yeah. That's like one I can't half butt that one.
True. Yeah.
So I gotta know I'm gonna do it, sign up, get in,
And start training.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nothing beyond Cactus Cup at this point.
Not really. I mean, I was thinking of doing some NBA cross country series stuff, but
Okay.
kind of going back to the sport loop stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more like sport loop stuff.
Yeah.
Someone did tell me about a kind of like a grassroots endurance series, AES, that happens up in Flagstaff.
Yeah.
Kind of like speakeasy racing. Like you show up at this date at a time.
Sure.
You have to have the route downloaded. Go out, do the route, and once you finish, you just kind of like sign your name, and like that's it. You just go home.
Gotcha.
And I wanted to do that this year, but I don't know why I didn't. I really don't know.
Gotcha.
Bike park trips probably took up most of the time, but yeah, maybe some more of those. Yeah.
Andy on the team does a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
He's really into the long endurance, the bike packing, the multi-day. He's done the Arizona Trail and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He could probably help you get set up if you're interested in it.
Yeah, I think the first time I met him, if I'm thinking of the right guy, was at Short Track Papago.
Probably.
Yeah. And I think either he was getting ready to do it or had just done the AZT.
Okay.
I remember talking to him about that.
Yeah. Yeah, he just started up his Papago, I think it's Papago Beer Rides, PBR. It's Tuesday night rides, more social than anything else. I think, it's just but it's also like I guess a faster ride than what like our Monday, fun rides are.
Yeah.
A little bit more competition to it, but then it's, off to the pub for a pint afterwards too. Yeah. So it's still more of the social, like just go and have fun and ride bikes kind of thing. But, I might not have it correct, but I think it's every Tuesday, or maybe it's once a month on Tuesdays, like the first Tuesday of the month kind of thing. I'd have to double check, but I'm sure it's out there on Facebook, and if you wanted to join them for that one and talk more endurance. I remember when you and I first met, you were, I think I'd asked you just about riding, what kind of style, what you're into, and you had mentioned endurance, like the super long, like epic kind of rides, but haven't seen you do any.
Yeah.
So we got to get you. We got to get you a race, or just the speakeasy style. Or are there any out there that you maybe that you have looked at that maybe just at this time kind of fell off? Bike park rides and stuff like that. You're not paying attention to them, but were there any on your radar before that are like really epic long endurance?
Big Woody was the main one.
Okay.
So like when I did that last year,
Yep.
it did have the 24-hour class, and that's what I signed up for.
Right.
Did get to run to the 12. I still did the 12.
Yep.
Won the 12.
I do remember that too.
But something like that, probably.
Okay.
I think the training for it was what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
But I don't think I was ready for that.
Gotcha.
It kind of, that was tough. All the road hours really kind of, I don't want to say surprised me because I knew what it would took.
Sure.
The coach I was dealing with, so roadie buddy of mine.
Yep.
He let me know exactly what I was going to have to do. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, man, that sounds great. And then I got into it and I was like, holy crap, I don't think I fully understood what this was going to entail because I'd never trained like that before.
Okay.
So yeah, I kind of took a step back to kind of like, kind of collect my thoughts, I guess, and go, am I actually ready for that? Because I'm also very competitive. So like I want to win if I go to something like that.
Sure.
I struggle to have fun at events sometimes just because I'm like, all right, well, if I don't think I'm going to win or like at least come mid-pack or whatever, like I'm like, I don't really enjoy my time there.
Right.
Which is not good. It's definitely not healthy to have that mindset. But, and that's what this year kind of, I worked on a lot. Like,
okay.
Going to the Cactus Cup, I knew I wasn't exactly like in shape to really be competitive at that.
Right.
But still went out, gave it my all. Did get a podium for the last day, which was the enduro day.
Okay.
I think it was only a few seconds off a podium on the first day.
Nice.
And then not too far off the overall, I want to say, on getting on the podium. But like the last NBA enduro I did this 2 weekends ago, I went into it, knew I wasn't in shape. Focused on having a good time, talking to people, and just kind of like, I guess networking. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but just kind of
in the business world, it'd be networking. Socializing on bikes.
Yeah, and like still worrying about racing, but focusing more on having fun while I'm there and like having a good time than like, oh man, like I screwed up on that corner. It's like, oh, it's all right. I didn't crash. Still in one piece. Get on the cherry left, talk to this guy.
Yeah.
Maybe even have a snack or whatever. So yeah.
Nice. So be able to still keep the competition up, but have more fun while doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it in Big Woody? Was it the terrain? Was it the altitude? Was it just the 12 hours on a bike? Or a combination of all of it hitting you all at once?
I don't know. I think there were some really tough climbs on that course.
Yeah.
Probably the first climb, which kind of like just like setting you straight up, like 100 feet or so. I don't know, but
right.
That one was pretty rough. And then just the like fire road stretches.
Yeah.
Those were also tough. I think the course was pretty dry while I was on it, but it did get wet in a few sections. But there's some fire road stretches that were tough, and then the some of the climbs.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that first section of Fire Road after you do the Highland Loop, you kind of do the lollipop, right? And go around, come out, and same, and then you hang a left on that first. I don't know what about it, that stretch is for me, but that almost feels like it's the toughest part of that whole 13-mile loop, and it's relatively flat. I think it has like a slight upgrade, which is just enough to you got to keep cranking at it, but you've done that whole loop, as I was saying, and your legs are a little, washed out from it, and you kind of want that Fire Road to be like the chance that you have to like recuperate for a minute. Like, okay, it's a mile or so on the Fire Road, and then you hit the power lines, which is another tough spot.
Yes.
But I don't know why that section seems to be the one that's like oh man, maybe I could just stop here and turn around. Or it has a little bit of a creeps up on you.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't. But yeah, that's actually one of my favorites to put on for Aravaipa as well, and it's definitely at the top of my list. To like, I want that one to grow. I want to bring back the 24 as soon as we can.
Yeah.
We'd have to move it. We moved it to Sunday this year, and I think it'll be on Sunday next year, so it'll probably be limited to 12 at that point too. But if we can get the race to grow itself, I mean, we're just talking about 24 at Old Pueblo, one of the biggest mountain bike races in the country, just down the road. So I think we can get another 24-hour race, here in Arizona. It's obviously it's a totally different race, totally different climate, totally different style of racing, and so I think I think there's room for both, so getting it back up there and then getting that 24-hour, because I'd really love to see like what some people can do on that loop for 24 hours. It would be quite the experience, I think, from the racer and from the race director, to be able to see it. So yeah, I'm glad you picked that one. That's one of my faves.
I'd like to see the mileage I could get thrown down, because for the 12-hour, I think I just got over 100 miles for those 12 hours.
That's right. I remember that, yeah.
Just by myself. So even if there's like a duo out there, a quad, I'd like to see like the kind of mileage like a team could get, or even just a solo. Could someone stick it out and get 200 miles? That'd be pretty epic.
It would be very epic.
Especially on that course with the climbs.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know who was at the halfway point aid station, but towards the end, I definitely had some good conversations with that guy.
Okay.
Where I was on the verge of just like ready to be done. I could pull up and sit down, and I never had beans in tortilla.
Okay.
It's delicious. It's so good.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'd sit there and he'd feed me, and I'm like, dude, like how close are they? Do I have to do another lap? Do I have to keep going? And I knew I at least wanted to get 100, so I basically had to keep going no matter what.
Sure.
But I didn't know how long of a break I could take. But yeah, that was tough. Shout out to that guy. You definitely I talked to him a lot.
That's good. I don't remember who was out there that year. Yeah. But glad that he was there for you.
Yeah, no, he was there.
Very cool. And so weren't Patty's Bean Burritos. Yeah. She does some pretty good magical stuff with that aid station food, and it's amazing how good something will taste when you're 6 hours into an event or 8 hours into an event, and you've been eating nothing but gels or maybe some kind of a solid food, but to see like real food out there, like the bean burritos, even the grilled cheese and stuff like that, it's just like, oh my, this is the best thing ever.
Vegan grilled cheese. Vegan grilled cheese. Yes.
There you go. You heard it here first. Are you still using a coach?
I'm not using a coach.
Okay. Is it because you're not like training for anything right now? Is it just sort of like on hiatus kind of? Okay. So as soon as you start training, you'll be back on the phone with this guy or gal.
Yep.
Local person or someone from back home or
back from
totally
Connecticut.
different? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Someone you've known a while then.
Yes. He's always been a straight shooter. I used to work on his bikes all the time.
Okay.
And then I was just, I reached out to me one day because he was trying to get like just some technical questions for his bike, and I think he was looking for some parts and whatnot.
Sure.
Then I was just telling him about it, and he was like, oh yeah, if you ever need a coach, just let me know. And I just took him up on that one day, and
nice.
Yeah, no, he was really good. He never like super pressured me or anything, like you have to do this or I'm not going to do this anymore.
Okay.
But he didn't BS me, which I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
And in turn, I think out of the few months that I had him, I think I only missed like one scheduled ride. But I made up for it by doing it like a double on the following day. So I think I did like Sunday. It ended up being like a 6-hour ride instead of a 4-hour ride.
Gotcha.
I paid for it, but yeah, no, he was really good.
Nice. And does he coach other people? Is that why? Or he just saw something in you and said, hey, I'll coach you if you ever want to?
Yep. He's just a really fast road. I mean, he's a fast mountain biker as well.
Okay.
But he primarily does road cycling.
Okay.
Doesn't coach anybody else. Just good buddy.
Nice. Yeah. Good to have that in your corner.
Definitely.
So what does a training schedule look like for you? How much does it change for different terrains or different style racing?
So typically, or something I don't think a lot of people take into account is like to really get a good good training or just get like a good workout in, you really got to do it on the road.
Okay.
Like even though I was training for mountain bike racing, 99% of it was on the road.
Okay.
And 1% of it was on the mountain just to kind of mix it up.
Sure.
But typically when I was training for the endurance, during the week the rides were a little bit shorter to like kept to like 2-hour rides.
Mm-hmm.
So about I think 3 or 4 2-hour rides a week.
Yep.
Also because work and
Sure.
you need to get home and sleep.
Yep.
And then on the weekend we'd do the longer rides. So Saturday would typically be like a 3-hour ride. Sunday would be a 4 or 5-hour ride.
Okay.
And it would there's peaks and valleys, and that would ramp up and ramp
Sure.
down. And that would typically be at like an endurance pace if I'm doing training for an endurance event.
Yeah.
So not exactly that hard of an effort, but doing it for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours.
Right.
It's definitely start
Time
to
in the
feel it
seat.
after a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, if you're training for like enduro or like downhill, you could still train for that on the road. Like a lot of people don't think about it, but
Right.
if you do a downhill run, you're going to get to the bottom. And if you did it right, if you actually pushed it, you're going to be out of breath, like
Yeah.
huffing and puffing. You could probably puke if you wanted to. Like my first downhill race at Bootleg, I remember getting to like the last 100 yards of the course and it starts to flatten out. And I'm like, I freaking got a pedal right now. And like didn't have it in me.
Yeah.
So yeah, doing a lot of intervals as well for like downhill and enduro.
Okay.
Just training like that high heart rate stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does it? How much does it change up when you're not like training for a race? What does like your week look like? Are you planning rides out, or is it just like, okay, I'm going to go out tomorrow morning and I'm going to kind of pick which direction I go? Then
Pretty much that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like
much more loosey goosey.
Yeah. How am I feeling today? Do I want to do a long ride?
Yeah.
Is it just going to be me? Am I going out with people?
Yeah.
Oh, what am I going to do on this weekend? I do try and do bigger rides on the weekends.
Sure.
So at least for me right now, more than 10 miles.
Yeah.
Or just a harder or faster ride.
Okay.
But during the week, it typically stays around an hour, maybe hour 20.
Yeah.
Mormon National, Javelina, a little bit of Desert Classic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are throwing I was going to ask about that 1% of mountain bike training. What does that look like? I guess is you just mentioned Mormon and National as two of the trails on South Mountain for people who may not know.
Yeah.
Are you doing repeats on them? Are you obviously you don't have to shuttle that one, but you can do it as a loop. You just keep going. It's about 4 miles, I think it is, right? So you go up and down, or you could certainly just do repeats. Get to the bottom, turn around, and climb back up. What does it look like? Or do you just go out and ride? I guess that's the other option is you just kind of go and do a 10-mile circle, right? That includes it, and then the end point is home.
Yeah. So if I'm training, I'll do like a couple of repeats on like Widowmaker.
Okay.
Which is the main part of the Mormon climb that's just super steep.
Right.
Outside of that, like right now, if I'm gonna go do it, I'm not gonna do repeats on Widowmaker or just the Mormon climb, but I will try and push it up that because that's the only time I'm really gonna get like a high intensity hit. So I'll try and go up that without stopping and kind of push it all the way through to like the Mormon National split.
Gotcha.
And that's like the hardest the ride is, and after that it's like breaks every 10 feet, just kind of cruising down.
What's your for that particular loop? Do you have a favorite going up National or going up Mormon? Or which direction I guess is your favorite?
I just started going up National again.
Okay.
When I first rode South Mountain, I pretty much only went up National because I didn't know about Mormon.
Gotcha.
Which sucked because I was still riding a single speed at that point in time.
Yeah. Yep.
But now, pretty much going up Mormon, I feel like it's just never fun. But it's kind of just a part of it if you want to ride that stuff over there. So going up Mormon, coming down National is probably just my favorite right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you ever push further back on National?
I do.
To the west.
I haven't been doing it recently.
Okay.
Just typically, if I get out of work now, by the time I get halfway up the climb, it's already dark.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, just continue on, do national.
Sure.
If I go out on a weekend ride and ride South Mountain, yeah, I'll pretty much push it past the Buena Vista parking lot.
Yep.
If I'm feeling really good, I'll go all the way out to Telegraph
Okay.
and ride that section between Buena Vista and Telegraph. It's probably my favorite section.
I can imagine it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some technical stuff in there, descents, climbs.
Yeah.
Really fun stuff, and then I'll just take the road back around to Buena Vista
Oh, sure.
and
Okay.
either go back down National or go do Corona de Loma.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Have you ever tried climbing Corona?
Yes.
Okay.
One time, and then I went down, and then actually this summer I hiked up it.
Okay.
Biked up it
Gotcha.
with my bike.
Yep.
Trail's longer than I thought, and it was really hot out.
Yeah.
I probably should have brought more water. That was very silly of me to go with just like one little 12-ounce bottle of water. Yeah, I won't do that again. Yeah, I won't do that again.
Did you climb it just to ride it, turn around, ride back down, or did you go? Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of see some lines, scope it out a little bit.
Sure.
I've only ridden that trail like 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
So I was kind of, Strava going first, trying to get a little faster time on it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to walk it and kind of see what I wasn't missing, and it didn't work. I didn't go any faster. I think it's probably because I was so exhausted from hiking up it.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely an expert level trail for sure.
Yeah.
I've hiked and run it. I've never taken the bike up it at all.
Mm-hmm.
I've looked down at it from the bike and then decided not to ride down as well because the downhill is just as expert level as trying to climb up that piece of it.
Yeah.
So I can imagine, you were probably pretty darn tired. And 12 ounces of water, that's probably the most water I've ever seen you carry on a ride. You're not known for carrying a ton. Granted, I normally see you just on the Monday fun ride, so we're not drinking that much water either. But I know it's a point of humor for a lot of folks, always pointing at you that you're never carrying any.
Yes.
All right. So South Mountain is your local favorite and obviously close to home, so easy to get to. You mentioned it as one of your things. You said North Mountain and Sedona were 2 others. You mentioned Mount Lemmon.
Yes.
Have you? When was the last time you were out down there?
Ooh, last time I was out there was last year for the MBAA Enduro.
Okay.
I did the Enduro, which was Bug Springs cut up into 2 pieces, and then Prison Camp, I think, also cut up into 2 pieces.
Gotcha.
But we were done really quick. I think my race started at about 8:30.
Okay.
I was done by like 10. So me and my buddy Austin, we had plenty of time, so we went up back to camp, had a snack, continued to drive up the mountain, and did a trail called Aspen Draw.
Okay.
And I think we rode like 70% of it.
Yep.
And then there were some hot shots or just trail crew up there. I think they were getting ready to do a burn, so they had cut like a fire line.
Gotcha.
That almost like straight down this like one section of trail, so it was like super steep. So yeah, about 3/4 of the way through Aspen Draw, me and him jumped onto this fire line and just rode this like really steep section of not official trail but trail.
Right.
That was really fun. So but yeah, no, Mount Lemon's like, I've only been there twice, but really fun.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, the race team, like I said, is applications are going to open up soon, so we'll definitely look forward to having you back.
Yeah.
Is there anything that the world needs to know about Myles before we shut down for the evening?
Oh man, I'm just a regular guy. I like riding my bike.
There you go, regular guy. I think that's the headline for the podcast: a regular guy who likes riding his bike.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I will probably see you on Monday.
Yep.
Myles joins me on Mondays. We do group rides every Monday at South Mountain, Pima Trailhead, 6:30. We take off. We do a little snacky snacks at Fate Brewing afterwards. And once a month we do giveaways, so please come out and join us. We have a good time. It's a no drop ride, so bring all skill levels. We'll take care of you. We're not going to leave anyone behind.
Yep.
Myles, thanks for coming out. It was
Thanks
a
for having me.
long time to get you here, but we got you here. So,
Yep.
All right. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you next time.